Crystal Tower information, Whiskey 2153 Zulu, wind 060 at 5.
076 Mike Juliet, departure radar contact.
Hazardous weather information from Minnesota available on flight service frequency.
You've dialed in the Flying Midwest podcast, connecting aviators from across America's heartland, sharing news, information, and events from around the region.
Calling Nancy 53 on over tower, roger, turn left heading 070, runway 9er, clear for takeoff.
Sit back, relax, and join our crew for some hangar talk as we discuss a wide variety of regional aviation topics.
Archer 71143, flying 5, runway 28 left, quick takeoff, left hand southbound.
And now, from our home at the Anoka County Blaine Airport, our checklist is complete, and we're ready for departure for another episode of the Flying Midwest podcast.
Contact departure on your flight.
Well, welcome everyone to another episode of the Flying Midwest podcast. My name's Jim, and I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined by the one and only Maddie.
Hello.
We're sick, but we're here.
Yes. We're both. Well, do we have the same? I don't know if we have the same thing.
Well, I had the COVID, so
I have been sick for like almost a week, like a week and a half.
That
Almost
does
a
not
week.
sound fun.
No, and I have no idea what I have, but it is miserable.
I think I'm on the downward slide of this, so
Well, that's good.
I can talk. There's that. So, and the Badger will hopefully join us on the next episode,
Yes.
which is number 100.
Woohoo! So exciting. It is. I'm actually really excited. I just don't sound very thrilled because I'm sick. Can you believe that
I'm
we've
sick.
almost done this for 100 episodes? This is so back.
There's some days where the answer to that is absolutely I can, and there's others where I can't.
I'm sorry.
It stays. All the coughing stays. It's too hard to edit out.
No, don't do that to me. And our
I
listeners, our poor listeners. Guys, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
So, hey, you guys need to send in your audio clips. I posted on the Facebook.
So we do have some audio clips that have come in for episode 100. So thank you to those of you who have done that. If you want to get your voice on the podcast for number 100, we would still have some room for some folks. So if you have anything that you want to add, contribute, say hello, wish us well, don't wish us well,
Wish us ill.
you can send us an email to flyingmidwestpodcast@gmail.com, and we would love to have your feedback and your thoughts in episode 100. This is not just about us. This is about the audience that has gotten us to episode 100. So we want to, include you as well.
Yeah. Have you done any flying or otherwise aviation-y activities?
So aviation space, I've been sick, so no flying. However, I've been working a lot on lesson plans and studying. So
That's awesome.
not as much as I would like to study, just with not feeling well, but I worked it in.
In my opinion, if you're sick, literally anything you do is a bonus. Like,
Fair,
if I'm sick,
fair.
like, unless I'm like, just like, cough, oh no, like a little bit sick, like in a general sense, if I'm like really sick, just literally anything, if I put the dishes in the dishwasher, we're like that level. If I ate today, boom, that is a bonus. Congratulations. So the fact that you studied, pretty impressive.
Like I'll talk about in our interview, fun segue, I found that doing PowerPoints as opposed to a PDF format of lesson plans, I'm finding I feel more confident in my presentation style. So I've been transitioning all of my lesson plans from just the PDFs into PowerPoints as well. So, like snagging the images off of, the PHAC and the Airplane Flying Handbook, and plugging those in as a PowerPoint. So I've got, as opposed to pulling the book out, which is what I was doing before, and going, here, let's look on page this, the PHAC, and talk about this thing. Now I have it on a slide, and I can just kind of work through it. And our hangar has a nice TV, and the club hangar that I'm flying with has an even bigger, nice TV. So it's been fun.
No, that's really awesome. I think it's fascinating that everybody has different teaching styles. I never had a CFI candidate come in with slides. I would have loved to see it, but nobody ever did. I love that works for you. For me, like I could teach off slides, like I've done it before. I've done presentations and stuff, but like it never once occurred to me to use slides, or not just when I was like going through CFI, but like in all of my doing instruction, just like because the environments I was in didn't really support that very well.
Yeah.
Like could have used an iPad. My iPad's kind of small, you know, it wouldn't have worked out super well. But like if you're going to be teaching out of your hangar and you have a TV and you teach well that way, oh my gosh, do it. That's awesome. That'll be so fun. And then it's easy for students to take pictures and stuff. And you don't have to deal with handwriting. I know some people struggle
mine isn't
with,
great.
Yeah. I've seen some pretty impressive chicken scratch, but well, your sickness was more thrilling than mine as far as studying goes, because I just read the general operations manual for my company, which was super exciting, but necessary.
I was going to say necessary, but yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather be reading the PHAC. That's just me.
Also super exciting content.
Your standards really change once you start instructing.
I think that talking about like instructing and lesson plans is a good segue into our topic for this episode.
Oh, really?
I do. Yeah.
Do tell.
So we're going to be joined by Nate from Backseat Pilot. He has created and has available on his site lesson plans for CFIs. So Nate's going to talk to us about his journey, and his goal is basically just to make the process more efficient for up and coming CFIs and to put this content out there for folks.
So without further ado, welcome.
All right. Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us on the Flying Midwest podcast. Super excited to have you here and talk about not just Backseat Pilot, but your journey through aviation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and get to do this with you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So we're going to start you off the same way we start every one of our guests. We have what's called the Fast 5 questions. These are 5 questions I didn't send you that are a little bit of like an icebreaker type of question list. So are you ready?
Ready. Let's go.
All right. Question number 1. Do you have a favorite aviation film?
Favorite aviation film? Man, I haven't thought about this. This might not be exactly what you're looking for, but the Masters of the Air, that new show that came out, I really love that. Not necessarily a film, but kind of. My grandfather was a flight engineer on B-29s back, so it kind of threw a little, history back in there. He was out in the Pacific, but it was really cool to kind of see that setup and what those guys went through, and just a great story.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I love that series.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Favorite aircraft that you have flown?
That I have flown, the general aviation is definitely the Pitts. The Pitts S2B. That was a lot of fun. I did my spin training in that. It was like a little kid sitting up there and just laughing the whole time.
I bet.
We did some of the spin training, and then he took me into just do aerobatics. So kind of got a first touch dip into aerobatics and how that all worked, man. It was incredible.
Very cool. Question 3. If you had a dream aircraft that you could own, what would it be? Money is no object here, or operating expenses, no.
Yeah, because that is the barrier. The P-51 would be incredible. Just beautiful aircraft and so powerful. But I, kind of a few years ago started thinking, if I ever got an airplane, a P-51 would be cool, and naively thought maybe that's possible. And then I looked up the prices and it's like, this will never happen. These are out of control.
Yeah. I agree with you, though. Be a great airplane to own.
Yeah.
Question number 4. Do you have a favorite maneuver to teach when you're instructing?
Favorite to teach? Strangely enough, 8s on pylons. I like that one. Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know why. Just the pivotal altitude. I like the way that works. The way it almost doesn't make sense on the surface, but we start looking at the math and how it all works and what they used it for, historically, and what you can use it for now. It's a cool little maneuver.
I'm going to come back to that comment you made about what they use the maneuver for in a second. We'll finish the Fast 5 first. Last question is, if you could meet anyone in aviation, dead or alive, and have a conversation with them, who would it be?
Man, that's a good one. There's so many people. I think I'd have to go with Lindbergh. Someone who just took some big risks and proved that there was a lot possible and really did quite a bit for the industry. Or maybe you can go back further. Maybe you can go back so much in history, so many fascinating people and how this all got started. But yeah, we'll stick with that for now.
Great answer. All right, before we get into the real questions, 8 on pylons.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to that point you made about like why people do it, things like that. Because the common thing that you hear from people is like, when on earth and why on earth would I ever do this? Other than because the ACS tells me to.
Yeah. Yes. So I believe it was developed initially back in wartime to maintain a steady target for a gunner shooting out of an aircraft. Okay. I don't know if that's entirely true, but that's what I've read in places. And then nowadays, that's not entirely useful unless maybe you're flying the AC-130 and something like that. But I think for photography, videos, you can still use it that way. It's just a fascinating concept that the altitude just adjusts with your airspeed, and you can maintain a specific sight line to a specific point. And it does. Probably not as used as often, but it does just develop the kind of innate feel of the aircraft and how you can maneuver it and work with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. All right, I'm done with my nerd out moment. So how did you first get interested in aviation?
That goes back just to the childhood. Like a lot of us, I made a decision when I was young I wanted to fly. And my mom says it was 3rd grade, and that's when I think it was probably after seeing the Blue Angels or something that I decided that's the job for me, flying, not necessarily Blue Angels, and then stuck with it. Kept that dream through high school and college and got a business degree, and then decided to fly anyway. Okay.
So at first, when you are going through like those formative years of high school, are you thinking that aviation is a path that's reliable, or reliable is not the right word? Do you think that aviation is a path that is workable for you, or do you go a different direction?
Yeah, I did. I didn't really have anyone in the family who had been a pilot or gone down that path, so I didn't really have the guidance or mentorship there, and it was more of a learn by doing and figure out by just trying different things. So in high school, it was the goal. I remember knowing that's what I wanted to do, and they had a chart up on the wall that said, these jobs, this is what's required, what you got to know. In pilot, it was like, you got to do algebra and you got to know this math and all that. And I was like, all right, that's what I got to do. This is my path.
I think I saw that same chart.
Yeah, I think it was all over back then. Loved it. Wanted to do it. Saw a path, but didn't know how to make it happen. That's when I went out to college. The parents made a good point that, hey, you need to get a degree in something useful or something other than aviation, since you've never flown. You want to do it, but you've never done it. So let's have a backup.
Sure. Did you ever do any work outside of aviation before you went down that road, or did you go to college and start working on ratings and just kind of go from there?
No, I definitely did a lot of different things before getting into aviation. I went to school for a business degree, got a degree in finance and marketing. And then I think it was 3rd year of college, I started the private pilot license, getting through those hours and ratings. So before that, I did some odd jobs in the summer, construction, whatever part-time work I could pick up. And then I got an internship with AT&T later in the college career. And great internship, great learning spot, but it reinforced that aviation was the way I wanted to go. It made it clear that, sitting in an office wasn't going to work for me, and I just could not do the 9 to 5 every day. Yeah, so the internship kind of sealed the deal for me.
Sure. So as you're going through that process, you talked about 3rd year, you're getting your private pilot certificate, and then where does aviation go from there for you?
Yeah, that's where you start figuring out what I wanted to do by trying different things. I got the private certificate in college, and then, of course, had no money to keep up with it. But following school, I decided to go to one of the career-focused flight schools. There was a flight school out in Georgia called Falcon Aviation that I don't think exists anymore. But I went out there for a year, got the instrument through CFI, all taken care of. And, I had a connection to that school. A friend of a friend was a part owner, so it's like I might as well just go down this civilian route and go the CFI route. That seems to be normal. And I loved it. I was finished up the CFI, went back to California, started instructing, had a great setup in Southern California, instructed for a few years. And that's when I started thinking that maybe the military side is something I want to get involved with. And that sounds pretty cool. And maybe that's the direction I'll go. So I started talking to recruiters, and this turned into a process, to say the least. Yeah, absolutely. Some good, some bad. The Air Force recruiter I talked to said, "You're too old, can't make it happen." And I was mid-20s. So I don't know what happened there. Misunderstanding, or maybe they just didn't need pilots at the time, whatever the case. Yeah. So that door closed pretty quickly. I started talking to the Marines. One of my flight instructing clients was a former F-18 Marine pilot who was getting his civilian ratings, to do some government contract work. And so he was pushing the Marines, and they've got a setup where if you get selected, you can be guaranteed a pilot spot.
Oh, okay.
So started going down that road, getting a bunch of work done, running into barriers of showing up to places at 4 something in the morning and doors are closed, lights are off, doing a lot of work, getting it sent over. Yeah, show up and they'd be like, "Oh, where's your work? We don't have any of the paperwork." I'm like, "Man, I'm trying so hard here and it's just not getting done." So there's a lot of frustration there, a lot of brick walls. And at the same time, I interviewed and got a job with American Eagle, now Envoy. So I said, "You know what? I'm going to take that. Let's take that step and we'll go in that direction for now." So from there, I didn't necessarily think the military side was dead. It was still something I was interested in wanting to do, but it was going to take a lot of work because now it's a few years later. There's the age cutoff. You start getting into that situation of needing waivers to get to pilot training and get on with the squadron. So I, met a handful of people in the regionals who were in the Guard and Reserve. They gave me some good advice, found a good recruiter and got the ball rolling and just took it one step at a time and said, "Hey, I've got to do this, the AFOQT. If that goes well, we'll take the next step. If that goes well, I'll take the next step." And I just continued pushing. It worked out. Ended up getting a job flying C-17s out of McGuire for the Air Force Reserve.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So kind of a winding path, but started down the civilian way, did the whole civilian way first, and then backed up and started over with the Air Force.
How was that for you? Because I know those types of flying, with the side from the airlines, those can be pretty different.
Yeah, they're pluses and minuses for sure. Going in, I had a ton of experience. I knew how to fly. I've instructed, flown the small planes, flown the 50-seat. I was on the Embraer 145, so 50-seat jet. So I had the foundation, and the experience I had wasn't too much that it was tough to break those habits. I was still able to get in and get into the Air Force side of things, but having that base of experience definitely made it a lot easier. Already knowing how to fly, having flown a jet. So yeah, good and bad. Definitely a learning curve in there, but also I had the foundation set, which made pilot training gave me the time and ability to flex to the way they teach and the way they fly and learn a different way.
Sure.
But it was great. Man, it was fun flying too. The T6 and, we got to do aerobatics and formation and it was incredible.
I've had a lot of students who were flying the heavies for the military, and they said, they would talk about their T6 time and like doing wing overs and stuff, and totally different from what we normally do in like the 172s and stuff. So I can imagine that was probably pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the aerobatics was a ton of fun. It was powerful aircraft. It flew well. I mean, you look at that training, and they're taking these guys who 15-ish hours in a T6 after 20 hours in a Diamond 20, and they're soloing a very powerful turboprop.
Jeez.
Yeah.
They're so fast.
It's impressive training.
Oh
yep.
my gosh.
They rush.
You see them all the time at Wichita. Woo!
Yeah, it's cool. And the formation, that was the hardest thing for me to learn. The instructors called it the great equalizer. And they were like, "Listen, you knew how to fly, you've gotten through all this stuff. relatively easily, but this is going to bring you and everyone pretty much together, because formation is something, it's just not something you've done before. And it really brings you down and humbles you quick, because, man, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, but it was tough at first. You find yourself subconsciously leaning away from the other airplane and pushing on the opposite rudder a little bit, because your brain is like, get me away from that airplane that we're right next to.
Sure.
But yeah, the training as a whole was great, and having the experience definitely helped.
For someone like you who's got that jet experience already, are you like all the way back to basics as you go through, or is there like an accelerated program because you have an ATP already?
Right. No, there wasn't at the time. Things are changing quite a bit right now, but at the time, no, everyone went through the same training. We started ground school, T6 and fundamentals, and then moved into flying the T6. And then once that was done, everyone split in their respective paths based on, fighter bomber, heavy tankers, and helicopters. But no, it was all the same. So it was good in that it gave me a lot of time to, get used to the aircraft and really get comfortable. But there was some redundancy of, early basic flying.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Well,
Interesting.
It's cool that you did get that experience. I can't imagine how it would be, like you said, going from a Diamond Katana and then you get thrown into a C6 and then you're doing all these wild, crazy stuff. It's like, better keep up.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. That's so crazy.
Absolutely. Yep. Better keep up. Yeah, that is it. And you're just immersed in the stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It starts 12-hour days.
Wow.
Lots of flying. Well, 12-hour days to start. And you kind of, it's almost set up a little bit like basic, where you've got to earn your freedoms back. So you start 12-hour days. You got to be in the squadron. If you're not flying, you're studying, or you're working with someone else. You've got a couple places you're allowed to go during the work hours. And then as you start working together as a class and, setting goals and meeting certain scores and standards, then they say, all right, maybe you don't have to be here 12 hours now, or now you can, if you want to go to the gym, you can go during those 12 hours. So they start giving you more and more freedom as you work together and build a class and get better at flying.
Fascinating. So how have you been balancing, I guess, during that time, during training, and now, how are you balancing flying for the airlines and also flying for the military?
Yes, it's been an interesting balance. So when I had been at American Eagle for 2 years when I got on with the Air Force, and I joined as a reservist. So I kept the airline job, kept the American Eagle job, but I went on military leave. And basically to start, I did 5 years full-time military as a reservist. So basically took 5 years of military leave. And this took me from basic training through pilot training, through our survival schools, and then through the C-17 school. And that was about probably a couple years, give or take a little. And then I went back to the squadron, and they give you a set of orders. I think it was about 8 months for me it's like IOE in the airlines. It's that initial operating experience, getting you spun up in the real world, flying missions, flying training, and getting comfortable in the jet. So did 8 months of orders there. And this probably took me to about 2.5 years. And then from there, the hope was I could just keep doing military work and, build a full schedule out of it. So I ended up picking up missions, picking up training. We do training missions as well. Flying, took a deployment to the Middle East, came back, did the aircraft commander upgrade, or the equivalent of the captain upgrade, and then some more orders. Basically just did a lot of work, 5 years full time. When things started slowing down at the Air Force, we hit a lull where there just weren't a lot of missions and wasn't getting a lot of flying. And that's when I went back to, it was now called Envoy. I went back to Envoy and got the captain spot and went through that training, and then started splitting the time. So splitting, it went from, basically doing full-time military to kind of 3 weeks a month, 3 weeks a month with the airline, 1 week a month with the military. And then over time, that shifted back and forth. But on average, it went from about a week a month to usually 2 to 5 days a month in the end. But basically staying current with the military and then occasionally flying missions or, something to stay up to date and with the mission.
Sure. Just out of curiosity, and this just because I've had people say, "Hey, you should join the military." I'm like, but I've already got my ratings and stuff. Like, I don't, and plus, like, do I look military to you? But I've had that pose. If, there are people in a similar position to you that get on with a regional or with a major, how does that process look like? Or how does that process work with joining the military and going and just leaving for 5 years and still being employed? Like, how does that work logistically?
Yeah, it's relatively simple. The military leave is totally protected within reason, to where if you've got the orders and you've got the stuff from the government that says you've got this position, you're going to this training, the companies just have to say, all right, go for it. We'll let us know when you're done and coming back. There is an asterisk there that you can do up to 5 years of military leave before they technically can let you go. I think the airlines, I've never heard of the airlines doing that. I don't know if that's something they keep an eye on, but generally what I've found is they like the training, they like the discipline and the experience the military pilots have, and they understand the commitment and the the desire to serve, and it's kind of a give and take where they're getting generally a very well-trained pilot, and they're understanding that comes at the cost of them serving in the military. So a little bit of a balance, but as long as you've got the orders, so I'm with United now, whenever I would have to go take military leave on our website, you just go in there, I'd put the dates in on the mil leave form and hit submit, and it would clear out the schedule for whatever I had, and I'd go do the military leave, and that was that. So the airlines, as far as my experience, have been very accommodating and understanding, and it works great.
Cool. So you get to keep your seniority number and everything.
Yeah,
obviously
exactly.
not to United, but that's really cool.
Yeah. So when I left,
like a little hack.
Yeah, right. When I left, it worked out great for me. I was in 2013 was when I joined. And I left summer of 2013 to go to basic. And that was during the American bankruptcy and merger with U.S. Airways. And it was people weren't very happy at work. It was kind of dark at times. They were asking for cuts in the contract. Nobody wanted to be there. There was no hiring. It was tough. So leaving, going on mil leave, keeping the seniority number, going to fly different stuff. And back then the pay was way less, so going to fly the military stuff was a pay raise for sure. It was great, and then came back and still had the same seniority number 5 years later, and they were great. I went through another indoc class and spun up with everything and got back to flying with them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a great balance.
So you've recently separated from the military. What does that chapter look like for you?
Yeah. Yep. I separated it's been 3 weeks or so. So I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. It's,
oh, that's real fresh.
Yeah, it's real fresh. And I still in my head, I'm probably I got to go in a week or two, right? Probably go out to the base. So it's not really real yet. And I'm still kind of figuring it out. But I think it's the right move. There's just a time crunch between the airline job, backseat pilot, and the military. Having 3 jobs was just getting overwhelming. And now having that time back will be nice. But definitely bittersweet in that it'll get that time back, but also, it's not something you just decide to do one day and hey, I think I'll do this for a little bit. It definitely takes a lot of work, and you're very invested, and you're part of something bigger than yourself. So it's
yeah, for sure.
Cool to be a part of. You're definitely going to miss the mission and the guys and the squadron as a whole, but I think it's the right move. Give me a little more time to focus on the other jobs.
Sure.
So you mentioned backseat pilot. We have not yet gotten there today, but do tell us, what is backseat pilot?
So I was instructing out of Long Beach. Great setup. Flying down one day with a student. Had a lost comm situation. Towers radios went dead. Didn't know if it was us or them. Tried to figure it out. Saw a green light. We landed. It was great. So I was like, man, that was easy. But, if they gave me the flashing light or something weird, would I have really known? Would I have remembered for sure what to do? So I made a little reference card for the light gun signals and put it on my knee board. And then I was like, well, what else might I need here? And so I started adding different things, whether mandatory radio calls and flight planning, filing information. And so I built this little reference card. And then going back to the inconsistent schedule and pay at times, my hope was like, maybe I can sell this reference card and make a little extra money, a couple $100 a month, some food money, and that'll stabilize things very nicely. So I made this reference card, came up with the name, the Backseat Pilot, one day. And that was it was your little backseat helper while you're in the plane to, if you ever needed some critical information, something tough to remember or something you just don't use often, it would be there for you. And so I built a website, threw the Backseat Pilot reference card out there in a hope to generate a little extra income. And then I put the flight instructor lesson plans I wrote on the website too, just as kind of a side thought. Maybe this will help or drive a little traffic or something. And long story short, I came to find out that there's a demand for CFI lesson plans. So what started as an idea for a reference card actually turned into a lesson plan business. So it's grown over the years to basically support CFIs who would like a backbone of lessons to have ready for their check ride, and then they can go and edit as necessary or desired to make it fit their style, their knowledge pattern, whatever they want, however they want to sort it. And so now it's primarily focused on the lesson plans, and there are some other documents I've put together over the years of ACS reviews and syllabi, and tying it all together and just trying to basically make the process of becoming a CFI a little easier, a little smoother, so it is a lot of work, and take the busy work out of it where it can.
So I assume now with the separation from the military and that chapter behind you that it, in theory, should give you more time to work on Backseat Pilot.
Right. Absolutely. And that was kind of the driving factor of it's becoming a full-time job itself. I could spend unlimited hours, it feels like, working on it and updating the lessons and creating new content. So it's, getting that time back will free things up and help push this forward. Absolutely.
So it started with just throwing lesson plans on a website and just seeing what would happen. How has Backseat Pilot as kind of a job, I suppose, changed for you, and how have those developed over the years?
It's changed quite a bit. I mean, it started kind of unassumingly, we'll put them on the website and see what happens, and then seeing, hey, people want this and use this. And then over the years, as kind of the word of mouth spread and it grew, there's been a lot of work on updating them, making sure they're current, up to date, cleaner, formatted nicely. So that's been a lot of the process. And then I tend to push out updates every month. So to kind of give you a big picture, like the CFI lesson plans, when you buy them, they're delivered as Word documents, Pages documents if you use Mac, or PDFs or PDFs. And then there's also a set of slides that go with all of them. So over the years, it started as just the Word documents, and then those got cleaned up, and then I added PowerPoint slides, and then had those redesigned recently to add some more energy and make them more professional. And then that's moved into building new documents, the ACS reviews, back in, I think it was 2017. Yeah, because I was working on this when I was deployed. The private instrument and commercial ratings transitioned from the PTS to the ACS. So we all had to sit what was called Bravo out in the Middle East, and it is 72 hour sit. It's basically, you had to be ready for 72 hours straight. 5-day sit of, we'll call you at any time if we need a last minute reserve, for lack of a better word. So in those, whenever I'd sit Bravo, I'd just work on these ACS reviews and work through this content, updating stuff. So built those ACS reviews to kind of bridge the gap between the old PTS and the new ACS.
Okay.
And then over the years, that has continued to grow into syllabi. for the private instrument, commercial, MEI add-on, and CFI that take the CFI, the II, and the MEI lessons and then apply them to a syllabus. So all these lessons you just edited, used on your check ride, made them work for you. Now you say, hey, we're doing a lesson on 8s on pylons. I'm going to grab my 8s on pylon lesson and teach this. We'll do the ground lesson on, airspace and comms. I'll grab these 2 lessons and we'll teach it. So it's kind of what started as a reference card, more focused. The reference card still exists, but more focused on the lesson plans now, and then including the ACS reviews and syllabi to kind of tie it all together with consistent updates to keep everything current and working.
I suppose that is probably the key, keeping them current, because the FAA is not known to change things on a regular basis. So.
No.
Oh, never.
Nope.
So let's shift gears a little bit to the potential client for your products and those looking at that CFI route. What are the benefits from your perspective to using a product like this?
I think it's mostly a time saver. There are a lot of people who like to write their own, or a lot of instructors who encourage their students to write their own, and I totally get that. I think when I wrote these initially, I was in Georgia, and I spent 2 months going through all these. And looking back, I personally don't feel like I learned a ton by making the lessons. It was more checking boxes to where, hey, I've got this huge list of lessons I've got to make, and I've got to get them knocked out so I can start teaching and get to the check ride. And so the process of making them felt more like a task I had to do versus a study or learning objective. So it was more getting them done, getting all the information required by the PTS at the time and any advisory circulars and whatever else into the lesson. And then once it was done, then I could go back through it and, okay, let's rearrange this or let's change this. And that's where I felt I got the most value, was going back through, editing, learning, and then practicing teaching and going back and editing again.
Sure.
So if I could have cut those 2 months out and, got the check ride done quite a bit earlier, started getting paid earlier, especially when you're at one of these long-term flight schools where you're not getting paid, you're spending a lot of money. If I could have accelerated that, gotten done quicker, got to the CFI quicker, started making more money, and then, get to the airline a little quicker, all in all, the hope is just to save time, save money, even make money if you can get to the start instructing.
There are a lot of people who think that building lesson plans yourself from scratch is the way, and that taking a route like getting backseat pilot lessons is kind of cheating. And I feel like it is all over the board. People, like, everybody's really polar on this particular topic. So what are your particular thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I did it the old-fashioned way and wrote them all myself. And looking back, kind of like we just discussed, I felt like I learned more after they were written and I could just dig into them there. I totally understand the people who want to do that, want to write their own. If that's the way you learn, absolutely do it. Whatever makes you a better instructor. As for cheating, I think I don't agree with that personally. And I think even in the Aviation Instructor's Handbook, there's a blurb in chapter 7, if I remember right. I'd have to go look exactly where, but it basically says third-party lessons are totally acceptable and you're fine to use them. Just know that they should be well-reviewed and edited to your liking. Don't just show up and read them. Don't just, grab the lessons and think you're done. There's still a lot of work to do in understanding the material, being able to teach it. And that's some of the biggest feedback I've gotten from DPEs who've done check rides with students who've used the backseat pilot lessons is don't read them, basically. You're not there to just read them a script. You're there to show you can teach. So the idea is, if you learn well from teaching, absolutely. And I've got a guy named Marcus who's been teaching some classes, CFI prep course for the backseat pilot. And we started talking a little bit about maybe offering a class for people who want to write their own lessons and just provide the structure and the foundation. So, hey, there's no way forced to do this, but if you're going to write your own, we can give you a process, give you a foundation, and help there.
I really like that. Actually, that's a really nice compliment to what you already have, I think. That's really smart. I like that.
Kind of what I was thinking is not everyone wants to have pre-made lessons. They want to do it themselves, and some people do learn a lot better that way. So, the idea here isn't to just sell lesson plans. The idea is to help people become better instructors and help them on the path to become an instructor, and then hopefully on the path past that as well.
Sure. Yeah, that's the task I have had. I did a lot of CFI instruction, and the amount of people who walked in my door and said, I want to make my own lesson plans. And I said, okay, sounds great. And just it was such a daunting task for them that they ended up giving up, and not like for lack of support. Because obviously if that's what you want to do it, but it is a super daunting task with not a lot of guidance. It's just, you follow the ACS. Okay, well, that doesn't really dive into some things. Like, that's just points. That doesn't really elaborate at all. And some people are very good at taking, okay, here's aerodynamics, and like just kind of knowing what kind of fill in. But a lot of people aren't built that way, and a lot of people don't have that. Even if they know what it is, like it's a huge undertaking. Like, it's a lot of work. So I think that's big. You got my seal of approval. Not like anybody cares. But
Perfect. We'll keep pushing to make this happen then. That's awesome. Yeah, that's with a lot of these classes and ideas you come up with, in my head, it's like, oh, I've got this great idea. And then sometimes you go down the road and you're like, nobody cares about this idea. This was terrible. And then, other times you have them and you throw it out there and it helps. So that's encouraging. Awesome to hear.
One of the things you mentioned is you've got these CFI candidates that are out there, and they've got this task, right? And I need to make these lesson plans because my instructor said so, or because that's the way I feel like it's supposed to be done, right? So you were talking about how there's not necessarily a lot of guidance in that space to accomplish that task. I guess my thought, maybe it's not as much of a question as a thought, but I think I've noticed the same thing. We go through these different, like a lot of people use online ground schools for their private pilot, their instrument, their commercial, and now you get to CFI and it's like, okay, figure it out.
Yeah,
it's so true.
Yeah, like here, everything you need is in the ACS and the pilot handbook, aeronautical knowledge, and all that stuff. Go forth and create your lessons.
Yeah, it is. I'd get a decent amount of emails from people with that same issue of, I don't know where to start. My CFI just said, use the ACS. The ACS will tell you what to do. And that is, man, that's tough. Because it's a huge check ride. It's a burden as it is. And then you're just like, what? I got to figure this out on my own. Yeah. And so there've been a couple things I've tried to do to help with that. And one is we're still feeling out and figuring out. But one is a CFI prep course. So because of all those emails I was getting where people are like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Put together a class where take 4 CFI candidates and meet once a week for an hour and a half or so. First week is just fundamentals of instruction. Marcus, the instructor, goes through all those with the student and talks about what it means to be an instructor, asks them why they're doing it, what their goals are, get a feel for them, and lays a foundation. And then week 2 is focused on ground lessons, having the students teach one to each other on, it's on Google Meet, so via, digitally. Week 2 is a flight lesson, week 3 is a flight lesson, and then week 4 is whatever they want to teach, maybe something you're struggling with, or CFI, the check ride prep, basically kind of getting them together, trying to provide a structure and a little more help for the students who don't know where to start or don't know what path or aren't really getting that support from their flight instructor. And then the second thing is putting together a CFI syllabus with the intent of, you can teach from it, but if you're prepping for your CFI check ride, this kind of provides a structure, like a roadmap for you. And it says, hey, start with fundamentals instruction, go through each one. And as you go through it, just edit the lesson, practice teaching it, and go to the next one. Just follow the syllabus structure. And then it goes into ground lessons and then flight lessons. So it lets the student, kind of gives you a roadmap at least to follow as you're figuring this all out.
Sure.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of the big picture plan, is try to make the CFI process smoother easier. It's not going to be easy. So I don't want to say easy because it's just being a CFI. Becoming a CFI is not easy, and it shouldn't be, because you got a lot of responsibility. You got to know a lot, and it really is important that the people you're teaching get a great education. But make it smoother, make it easier, and then the third one is try to make it more fun. Because like you said, there are these videos and study guides and the biannual renewal that just, man, you got to put toothpicks in your eyelids and, smack your face to stay awake. And we gotta make it more engaging. So that's the long-term plan, is try to make it a lot better.
I guess to the point of talking about like just lesson plans. So Maddie and I we both done this differently. Maddie did all hers through what you purchased lesson plans.
I purchased my lesson plans and totally revamped them. And Jim, you did not do that, did you?
I know this is an interview with Nate, but how did you revamp them? Like, you just make it to your own teaching style? Is that kind of your thought?
Yeah, so kind of what I did was I sat down with each lesson. I opened the ACS for the CFI or II or whatever, and the associated either commercial instrument or private pilot lessons, and kind of went through it just informationally. I, looked up regs. I added things that I knew I wanted in there, or, that kind of stuff, or took out stuff that I'm like, either this doesn't fit, it's not relevant, or I don't like it, or it's wrong. And then I move stuff and all that. And then I delivered the lesson in real life to real people. And then I sat back down and moved all their stuff and took stuff out and put stuff in, and, that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, well, wrong about that. That's awkward. And, fix that. And there was a lot of that. My lesson plans were I printed them twice. The first rendition was just covered in pen marks and little illustrations and stuff like that, just because there was, my teaching style is a little bit different than everybody else's, because we're all individuals. So there was a lot of work. It took me forever. It took me like 8 months to finish my CFI. Part of it was like I was so worried about, after, the fast paced, actually it ended up being a year, because I was in the fast track program, and then I wasn't for CFI. So that was, I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much information, kind of that.
Mm-hmm.
I found that helping, you guys know, that having the basis of, here is what a lesson plan looks like, and here is the information, and then have fun with it. I'm an editor. I was going to go into that before I got into aviation. So that ended up being way easier for me to deal with, just kind of fixing stuff instead of making it. It was tough.
Sure.
So
definitely.
And then from my perspective, like, my instructor had me make all my lesson plans, and I want to be clear here that I did have a roadmap from her. It's not like I was just like, here's the ICS, good luck. She had a very good structure for, here, handle this lesson, and then we'll do this one, and then we'll go from there. So I at least had a roadmap of what topics we're going to cover in what order, in a logical order that made sense for a flow of how you would teach a student. Mm-hmm. What I will say, though, is, so I just did them in Google Docs. All of my lesson plans are there. But as I started moving along, I just did the first lesson that I've done where I've used slides. And I found, at least for me, that teaching with slides is so much easier than trying to remember what spot I'm on the lesson plan, and I can refer more easily to like diagrams and photos and stuff like that, as opposed to opening up the airplane flying handbook or whichever book we need to reference something. So I will use this as a segue to I have seen your product now and went, oh my goodness, where has this been all my life? And I really like the slides that you have there as far as how they're set up, and I could see some real benefit to seeing slides like yours and somehow like adding little tidbits from my own teaching style to those as I work towards my check ride. So
yeah, exactly. And that's entirely
very well put together.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's entirely the point, is just providing, the backbone. And hopefully if you think it's good, you don't need to change something, awesome, move to the next part. But if you want to edit it, whether it's the content, whether it's the slide, you want to add something, take something out, it's all yours to make your own and to turn into something you are comfortable and confident teaching from.
And I'm thinking, too, as I'm going through these, and I've done a couple of them today. I've been talking with Maddie as I've been doing them before we started recording. But as I'm looking at the slides, it's been a really good refresher to not just, all right, I have my lesson plan on the one side of my screen, and I've got the slides on the other side. For me, it's so far been a really good refresher for, all right, what is the content in the first place, but not only that, what maybe did I miss the mark on, that as someone else explains as opposed to in my words, maybe something clicks a little bit more. So I'm finding some benefit in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great way to look at it, is having different perspectives on the same topic. You can see it from a different point of view, and that can always help understanding and help teaching. I remember that, kind of like you were saying, Maddie, is I was going through teaching these lessons the first time. I'd have this plan, like, this is perfect. It's all in my head. I got it. And then you go teach it and be like, this made no sense at all.
Yeah.
Cutting
So
stuff
true.
out and moving stuff around. And yes, getting that other perspective, just someone else who's done it is very helpful. And that's where, when I was getting my CFI, my instructors would occasionally send me one of their lessons and be like, hey, maybe look at this and how this is structured. That might work a little better. And you'd be like, oh, this makes so much more sense now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I too have experienced that.
Yep.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah. And even now, I just redid the airworthiness lesson. One of the users reached out and said, hey, what do you think about this structure? And he laid it out, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so simple and it's so logical. It makes perfect sense. And so I scrapped a huge portion of what I had for the airworthiness lesson and just rearranged to match their layout. And I was like, this is brilliant. So yeah, it still happens now. I'm not perfect, and I'll keep trying to make the lessons better as people provide the information, but it's a never-ending process of trying to make things better.
I bet.
Yeah. And, as we all learn, I mean, I'm sure you learn something new every day, just like we all do. There's always something new that people bring to the table, or just a different way of thinking about things. And, you may not be able to capture everything, but I think that's what's so cool about, a lesson plan, that you can do that with, just kind of taking it and make it your own. Because, yeah, I've had students who deliver a lesson. I was like, wow, I could never do that. Like, you did it in a way that I just couldn't, which is awesome. But it makes me change, a few things about how I do things until I get some different input. And then it's like, okay, so it's kind of about always changing thing. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's perfect. Getting the feedback. Yeah, feedback never ends. It's always important. No matter how long we've been instructing, you can still keep learning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as we get close to wrapping up here, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's looking to become a CFI, someone like, I don't know, like me, what would that advice be?
Yes, absolutely. There is no easy route, which is good and bad news. But in that, like we discussed earlier, it's such an important job, and it really is important to the students and everything, that there's no easy path. We can do what we can to make it easier, but just don't expect it to be a walk in the park and just, hey, I'm going to knock out my CFI. I'll get a job. I'll get to the airlines. Just understand that it's going to be a lot of work, but once it's done, and it's very rewarding. It's a great job. It's so fun. There are a lot of people I've talked to who see it as a stepping stone to get to the airline. And I think that's the toughest way, because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time, and then the pay might not be great once you start doing it, and it just feels difficult. But if you really just embrace the process, understand how much you're going to learn from it, and then how much more you're going to learn as soon as you start instructing, because no matter how much you study and teach before, it's like that 6 months after you start instructing I think I learned more there than anywhere else, because the students are going to ask you questions. But to get back to your question, it's a lot of work, but it's very worth it. You just keep pushing through, and it's quite fulfilling. And the airlines like it too. If that's your end goal, if that's where someone wants to end up, it is such a great resume builder, and great for you, great for the airline, great job to have.
Awesome.
Preach. Yeah, you know what's up.
Well, Maddie, do you want to take us to our very last question?
Absolutely. It's my favorite question. What is your unpopular aviation opinion or hot take?
Unpopular opinion. Well, that you don't have to write your own lesson plans. That might be one of them. That definitely gets a little bit.
It is very controversial.
Yeah, it is, and definitely we get some feedback from people who, on both sides. So there are a handful of radio calls that do irk me a little bit. It's the with you call on the radio, checking in with you. It's, well, yeah, you're with me. You're talking to me. And then the inbound call, or making the call to like a Class D or C airport. You're 10 miles out, and they say, information ATIS inbound for runway 26. It's like, well, you're not outbound for the runway. Of course, you're inbound. It's just the kind of the radio calls that are redundant and unnecessary extra verbiage, and I don't know why. That and meows. Oh man, those those will get you.
Yeah. I am unfortunately one of the people who did say inbound. Do I say that still? I might still say that. Uh-oh, sorry. No, because I usually say we're on the visual, so I don't usually say inbound.
I mean, I did it for a long time too. But I had the chief instructor at the flight school I started at. He found a list of like the 10 most unliked radio calls by ATC, and those were the top 2. And I was like, man, I gotta cut those out. And now when I hear it after reading that list, now it's like, oh, now it bothers me. So, yeah.
That's so funny.
I've got a very strong feeling that I'm going to use both of those terms in the next 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now that I've said
I'll go, oh, I said it.
Yeah.
Oh,
now that I've got it in my head, I'm sure I'll say it next time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be, I'm one of them. Well, thank you so much for your unpopular opinion and for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you guys. I really enjoyed it, and it was, a lot of fun.
Yeah, this has been an awesome conversation. We really appreciate it.
So Nate, thank you so much again for coming on. It was really fun. This was a really fun interview. I've heard of Backseat Pilot, obviously. We talked about that in the interview. I think it's really great on the amount of content that they have and stuff like that. It's very impressive for, just a guy. Because there's some big companies out there, but it feels like he said earlier, with the CFI space, there's stuff, but there's no like really comprehensive material out there that's easy to use and navigate and stuff like that, which, hashtag not sponsored, not an ad, but I think anything to kind of help, instructors, especially instructors, instructors hard rating to get through it a little bit more efficiently. If that's your vibe, if you have that kind of same mindset, I think it's great.
As you've been talking, I've been trying to think of a way to respond to the points that you're making, and you're saying all the right things. So I don't know what I was going to say.
Oh, hallelujah. That's a new one. I think that's the first time that's ever happened. Say the right thing, because I never do that. But
I concur with the words that you said. No, I do think that, again, I will preface this with, I've been very fortunate to have an instructor that has pointed me in the right directions for how to prepare for this rating, but I know that's not the case for everybody. So to have some sort of avenue for folks to do this more efficiently, I think is important, whether it's this, whether it be some other syllabus. You're right. It's not an easy rating, as I can attest to for the last couple of years.
Yeah. It's not like he's selling snake oil or anything. This isn't going to earn you your CFI rating. Trust me, I've had candidates walk in with lesson plans, and it doesn't sink into your head via osmosis and make you a great teacher. You have to use your tools to become a good teacher.
Sure.
This is just one of those tools that is out there that you can use if you want, or make your own. Again, different strokes for different folks. Do your thing. But I think this is a great option. And it's like, I'm not dogging on any one instructor, but some instructors just do not give a lot of guidance. Some don't care. And it's horrible, but try to make the best out of a bad situation in some regards. Or, if you want to take the time, but you just can't, and you gotta do what you can to get through it. This is one of the options that you could do.
So he shared some of his content with us, and it's really good quality, I think. And another bonus for me is as I'm going through and revamping my lesson plans, I've found a couple of things that I want to be able to enhance, and it's been helpful to have another example to work off of as I, kind of revamp my stuff. So if there's something I've missed, I'm like, oh, I like how he's covered that. It's been nice to have some form of comparison. Does that make sense?
Sure. It's nice to have, especially if you're doing something from scratch, something that somebody else has done, because that perspective can be really invaluable. I know I've stolen things from my CFI candidates because I liked what they said or I liked how they presented something. It's like, aha, I'm using that. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all different people with different perspectives, and we're all learning and trying to get better, and certain things will resonate and certain things won't. So if you find something that you like, just an FYI, hey, this is not an ad. We are not sponsored. Nate did not pay us anything. We just think that he is neat when he does his neat, and maybe it'll help one of you guys on your journey. And I think that's pretty cool.
Could not have said that better myself.
Oh, I'm sure you could have.
No, I don't think so. That was well said for I think what we're trying to convey about
Thank you.
Sharing his story. So
I'm sure you can.
If you're looking for more information about Nate and about Backseat Pilot, website's easy to find. It's thebackseatpilot.com. I'll throw a link for that down in the show notes for you to check that out. If you do have more questions for Nate and want to learn more, he does have a contact button on his webpage, so you can reach out to him through the website.
Just a final reminder, and no, I won't stop talking about it. Please send in your audio clips for episode 100. This is so cool. I'm so excited to be part of this because 100 episodes. We've been doing this bi-weekly, give or take, for how many years now? Several.
Did we start in 21?
We did. So is that 4 years?
It's been like 4 years. Yeah.
We've been doing this for almost 4 years, guys. I can't even
wrap your head around
that. I've never done anything for 4 years except for flying airplanes and living. But I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Even if you just want to say, hey, it's whomever. See ya! That's cool. We want to hear from you, and we would love to have you on. So please send your audio recordings to flyingmidwestpodcast@gmail.com.
Could you imagine if we just got as many people saying see as we could and we just had a running loop of it?
I love that.
It might be too late to get a huge number of people to do this, but what the heck? If you want to give us a see ya, quick audio clip, just email it to us and I'll see what we can throw together. That might be interesting to see in 2 weeks if we can come up with enough see yas to have just a running
we could
see ya at the end.
That would be so fun.
We'll see. All right, so I think that's going to do it for this episode. I think we're both tired enough.
We're both super nasally and gross.
Yeah, no one else wants to listen to us talk anymore. No. So should we get out of here?
We should.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Flying Midwest podcast. And until next time,
see ya.
See ya.
Flight 536, contact Minneapolis Center 132.35 today.
Thanks so much for joining us on the Flying Midwest podcast. Until next time, podcast service terminated, squawk VFR, frequency change approved. Good day.
Okay.
That's the beginning. Just the.
Yeah, for real. I didn't know we were recording. That's the intro. It's just us sniffing.
That's the intro. It's for sure in the bloopers, at least.
The intro to the bloopers.
Just sniffling and general
Ow.
sickness.
Sorry.
So, bespides? It's not a word. I got like just stuck in my throat.
I feel that. My throat feels like I have my snake around it. That's how it feels. It's kind of like, not like I'm gonna die, but like I'm really uncomfortable.
It's a good thing we're recording a podcast. I'll just type into Riverside. Please remove all of the nose blowing and coughing,
All snorting.
All snorting and coughing and otherwise disgusting, sickly noises.
Yeah.
Are you being raided?
Can you hear that?
Lots of sirens, yeah.
They're like a block and a half away. Oh no! You know what? I'm just gonna leave my window open because they're coming they're coming here. So you get to. Oh, you get to hear the train too.
I heard the train. Are they coming to your building or something?
No, they're just coming past.
Did you call them?
No. The road is like 15 feet that way. So.
Oh, okay. So, I started rambling and completely lost my question.
Oh no!
All right, we were talking about. Oh, I know where it was.
Okay.
Oh, is it the ladder? I love the ladder. No, it's not. Not this time.
Go get 'em, brothers!
Oh,
Sorry,
no!
that's from a different thing.
Sorry.
I didn't know that you're such a fire buff.
I am. I mean, have you seen firefighters? I'm just saying.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Stop.